Imu just did the unthinkable. He just stabbed Luffy with his void sword. The first ever conversation recorded between Joy Boy and Imu is here. And are we going towards a brand new flashback of Void Century? We're going to talk all about these things in this video. But hey, that's not it, because the last video we made was about Imu and his two different versions present in this world. And the conversation between Joy Boy and Imu really solidifies that theory. So be sure to check that one out if you guys are really interested about One Piece and One Piece theories. And watch the video till the end, because I'm also going to reveal some key important details that really makes this chapter even more better than it already is. But before that, one small request, and that is to like this video, share this video to your fellow One Piece and anime fans, subscribe to our channel Any Emotion. Now let's get back into the main video. So let us first start with the main thing from this chapter that everyone is talking about, and that definitely is going to be Ragnar looking at Jinbei. Is Jinbei going to pick up Ragnar? Is he going to be the next wielder of Ragnar? And is Usopp going to be left out yet again in this arc? Okay, jokes aside, Jinbei and Ragnar together is really important, but the most important thing from this chapter is definitely going to be Luffy getting stabbed by Imu. And if you guys don't remember this, it is not the first time Luffy is getting stabbed, because in Alabasta, Crocodile did the exact same thing. Although the wound inflicted by Crocodile in terms of sheer size is going to be nothing compared to this one, because Imu literally stabbed Luffy, and this panel is really something no one expected. Again, Elbaf is turning out to be one of the most unexpected arc, and that alone makes Elbaf so good, because things are happening left and right. Imu is here, no one expected Imu to be here. Luffy is getting stabbed yet again, and Usopp is literally crying in the corner, because it was supposed to be our boy Usopp's arc. He never got a real power up, and every one of us thought that the giant island is going to be his arc, right? Now, moving on from Usopp, we have to talk about last week's chapter, because in the last week chapter we got to see a grand introduction for a fight between Luffy versus Imu, and the way it ended, it didn't seem grand. Imu was dominating the fight left and right. Imu wasn't even paying attention towards Luffy's attack, and all of those panels are purposefully placed by Oda, because he really loves to do this. Oda really loves to take us to the lowest of lows in order to give us the most highest of highs. And this thing is very important, because this is a pattern that Oda loves to follow. And in the fight between Luffy versus Kaido, round 1, Luffy got destroyed by Kaido, and then Luffy has to learn Advanced Conqueror's Haki and then even awaken Gear 5th in order to bring down Kaido. And this is really important in context of this fight between Imu and Luffy combined with the fight between Kaido and Luffy. I think that Luffy is going to awaken some other kind of power. Not a Haki based power, but a more developed version of his Gear 5th. I know Gear 5th is really overpowered right now, but the way Imu dominated him, I don't think this is even enough for the final war. Now, just last week I made a video about how Imu and Luffy could win this fight, where neither of them win or neither of them lose. It was a draw situation, but everyone gained and lost something. And there, one of the points I made about Imu's victory was destroying Elbaf. And right now that win condition seems more close to us than we all thought. Now, there is no one strong enough to defeat Imu after Luffy and Loki. And I know that there are Zoro and Sanji, but they might put up a good fight, but in the end Imu is going to win over them any day of the week. Now, there is a slim chance that a lot of people are really speculating online, and that is Luffy is literally acting throughout all of this and he's not really hurt. But I think Luffy is not that good of an actor. You know, if it was someone else, I could have put my money on that, but Luffy literally is not that good in acting. We all know that. So I don't think that is the case, and Luffy is literally for real stabbed by Imu. And speaking of being stabbed by Imu, we also how Imu is just changing his swords, right? He is literally for right now has used 4 different kinds of sword. The current one is called the Void Sword. There were the earlier one of them being really close to Mihawk's Yoru. And at this point, we could literally crown Imu as the sword god of the One Piece world, because I don't think literally anyone has more swords than Imu. I'm really sorry, Zoro, but you just have literal 3 swords and Imu already has shown 4. So he win on that criteria. Now, speaking about swords, a lot of people on the internet has pointed out that Imu's 4 swords are really close to different swords in the throne room. the ones that were put in there to show their alliance to the world government. And this is really important because maybe those swords are magical, and we saw how much Emu could do with those swords. He really inflicted a lot of damage onto Loki and now into Luffy. So maybe those swords are really powerful. Maybe just like the Haki knots, those swords are powered by different kings' Haki. I don't know what the sword's deal is, or maybe Emu is just using Omen in order to enhance the abilities of this sword. That is the main possibility I am seeing right now. And if the swords are those swords that are put in on the throne room, that's a real cute touch by Oda. Now let us talk about another very important thing that happened in this chapter, and that is Joy Boy and Emu's conversation. It more or less looked like a phone call conversation, like how you got wrong number calls from different places. Some calls get mismatched by the network, and this type of things happen in current day and age. So maybe, just maybe, the ancient kingdom was so technically advanced that they have cell phones. Right now they have Dendenmushi in the One Piece world, and maybe during that time they have cell phones as well. But how Vegapunk described the ancient kingdom and how he was so inferior to their technology, I think they could have a text where the cell phones are really imbued in their brain and they could just make calls by just thinking about, hey, just let me call this random number, and then the call is made through their mind. It is all done through the brain, just like an Ultra Pro Max version of our current day Neuralink. Although this conversation was really short, it gave us a lot of information. This was the first conversation between Joy Boy and Emu, and we got to see how Emu addresses himself. This is really funny at this point that Emu just calls himself Mu all the time, even during Void Century. If you ask Emu, hey mate, what's your name? Moo. Hey, what does cow say? Moo. Who is going to win between you and Joy Boy? Moo. And it goes on and on. He literally now feels like a kid who just knows 2 words from the alphabet system and likes to address him with all of those words. But the Emu who is not the silhouette is just literally something else. I made a video just a few days ago where I addressed how there are 2 different versions of Emu, one with the silhouette and the one we're fighting right now. And this talking between Joy Boy and Emu really solidifies that point that there are literally 2 versions of Emu. We are seeing the silhouette version talk right now, and the literal version of Emu, the main version, is fighting Luffy in the current day in age of Elbaf. There was one more really important key detail in this chapter, and that was Emu being shocked that he cannot break the ice of Ragnir. We all thought that Emu tried and he failed. Maybe he recognized this ice was made by Ragnir and it could only be broken by Ragnir. But he was literally shocked in this chapter, and that is when Luffy tried to attack him and got stabbed instead. So this was really important, and I think it is going to be even more important in the upcoming chapter. There is also Jinbei. I think our boy Jinbei is going to get the main power up of this arc of Elbaf. He's going to pick up Ragnir and smack Emu in the face and one-shot him. KO, that's it. We're going to the next arc. Now that will sum up everything that happened in this chapter. I hope you guys liked this video. If you guys watched till the end, be sure to like this video, share this video with your fellow One Piece and anime fans, subscribe to our channel Any Emotion. Now with that out of the way, I'm out. Peace.